Hey everyone, it's a Miserable Movie Man back once again with another video. So I never got around to watching Tron Ares in the cinema, but I did watch it on the big screen at home. And it's a fairly recent-ish film, so I wanted to do a quick review of Tron Ares, as there have been a number of different reviews out there with varying opinions. This review does contain spoilers, to let you know. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch it and then come back and listen to the review. I would say overall, this film is not as good as obviously the original, which is a classic film, way ahead of its time, or even the sequel, Tron Legacy, which I pretty much enjoyed when it came out. I mean, this is 15 years later, and now we have another film that's trying to keep the Tron franchise alive by, trying to do things maybe a little bit different. I mean, it has been said that if you want to kill a franchise, you should have Jared Leto star in the film. And of course, that joke or meme has been aimed at the DC Universe under Snyder, or his turn as Morbius, which wasn't great. But I thought Tron Ares was a step up for him. Not a huge step up. I would say baby step up. He was decent in the film, although there were some strange things that were happening later on, which I'll get to. But overall, the film for me was pretty much mid. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. I'll say visually it was amazing, absolutely stunning. The way that they did all the visuals, especially the lighting effects, the light cycle effects, the red sort of shading going on in the grid, etc. That was really cool. I mean, it was so cool that even when they're in the supposed water, riding on a machine, as the water hits the camera, they've got the water as blocks of squares instead of circular raindrops to demonstrate they're in the grid. So little attention to detail like that was brilliant. There are quite a few nods to the original Tron in the film, such as the docks where Eve is there. I think there's one of the buildings there that references the original Tron, and even the hole that the gap that Ares rides through is the one that Flynn made. So some cool nods to the original, but overall this film was as I said, visually impressive, but not that great as a film. It was a bit strange. It was a very standard AI robot wants to be in the real world type of thing. And they just throw us into the deep end with the Dillinger grid. And of course, Dillinger's offspring, Julian Dillinger, played by Evan Peters, who I thought was decent in the film, is trying to supposedly help the world. And of course, he's carrying on the family name in the villain capacity. He's out to sort of rule the world and screw everyone over. But I guess we knew that. And really, I think, this whole thing about lasers creating stuff out of ash and then having that stuff being able to move and interact with the real world is maybe a bit too much, a little bit too ridiculous to believe. The fact that you can create anything, I would have thought that having that ability to create anything from a program would have revolutionized the world of sexual companionship or, domestic help. Even if it's 29 minutes, that's more than enough time for most people to do both of those things. But it was a bit interesting. And then I think the thing for me was the turn, why Ares turned, why the program had evolved or stopped following instructions from Dillinger. That wasn't great. I mean, we do see Ares at one point help his teammate, played by Cameron Monaghan. Absolutely pointless throwaway cameo in that film. He's a great actor. I don't know why they needed him, or a name for that role anyway. Maybe he had scenes that were cut and you don't see much more of him, but he's only in it for a split second. So that, plus the fact that, Eve was empathetic towards him when he was about to die, it was enough to turn him into, someone that's now got free will and wants to live and is able to defy his creator who programmed him. That was all a bit too much for me. I mean, we've seen this before in films like AI, and they even reference in the film that Ares wants to be like Pinocchio, be a real man. And then, of course, you have Dillinger himself, who can't control his own program. It's a bit ridiculous. And Athena as the baddie in the film, but she's just following her programming. I thought she was played okay. I thought that, she was basically a Terminator-style robot that was trying to get after everyone. But she had to look mean doing it the whole time. And the setups, the action sequences were decent enough, but not, I would say, out of this world. And the fact that they had Eve as the sort of main protagonist with Ares getting involved in all these situations did make it a bit ridiculous. I mean, her running around, her escaping, her ability to ride that motorbike better than any stunt rider I know. That's the thing. There was a little bit too much of the ridiculous in this film. Like when they're doing the chase, which was a beautifully looking chase, but then, they cut the car in half, but then everyone else just kind of bumps against the lights that are going everywhere, the sort of light cycle trails. And, if this happened in the real world, the people are filming it and cars are seeing it, there seems to be no fuss. Everyone just seems to be driving normally. You can't have that much of a crazy thing happen in the real world and then not have any, just not focus on any of the ramifications or effects it has, other than one car, or is it a bus? I think getting no, it was a car, right? Getting chopped in half. So I think that was also for me, that was a bit too much. There were too many ridiculous things happening in the real world that didn't have any sort of proper ramifications that we saw on screen, proper sort of, results and how people reacted to it on screen. It just seemed way too glossed over. So that wasn't great. And again, just going back to the cameos, Gillian Anderson is in this as Dillinger's mother. Is the English accent her thing now? Is she going to do English accent for everything? What was the need for that? To be honest, I didn't know. I know she did Sex Education, but that's about it, right? So having her in it, saying a few lines, being a bit upset with the son, and then bloody dying at the end of it was a bit ridiculous, because Athena decided that she could now just kill anyone in the real world too. I mean, what kind of programming is this? And Asimov's laws hold true? Clearly no one's read those books. But yeah, so there was a lot of silliness in this film, a lot of things that didn't make sense, a lot of things that were just plot contrivances. What I think I did like, I liked the fact that Jared Leto, or Ares, had to go into Flynn's world, Flynn's grid. That was pretty cool, seeing the original light cycle, and Jeff Bridges is always watchable, a great actor. So it's good seeing him on screen. He had a nice role there when he's talking to Ares. But again, it's weird. Ares shows signs of growing past his programming. But then when he's in the real world, the way he talks, it seems like he is a weird human being. And maybe that's supposed to demonstrate that the programming is involved. But, he's all computer-esque, Terminator-esque at the start. And then as he gets in the real world, he just starts talking a bit in a bit of an in-between voice, and then whether he's gathered enough data to become human, I don't know. Certainly you don't know when he's in the real world and he's been fully made and he's going to help Eve, as to whether he has his sort of computer skills and abilities that enable him to analyze situations. That's not clear. He's thrown around quite a lot initially before he comes back to fight and doesn't seem to feel any of that pain. So what is he? That was a question that wasn't really answered very well. Is he a robot programming existing in the real world, trying to be human in a sort of form of the way Data was in Star Trek? Or has he become fully human? Does he feel pain? Can he bleed? Is he able to make mistakes? That is something that I think they should have elaborated more on what kind of creature he was. And again, just they made choices for the plot to help move things along. So yeah, that was my review overall. I think there were some visually great things to look at, some decent performances. Jared Leto as Ares is hit and miss. I think there's some good parts about him in the role. He does the robot thing very well, and then he switches very quickly to kind of try to be a likable human. Why Eve is helping him so much, I don't know. That's not really explored in any detail. But a lot of the things didn't make sense. There's a lot of incredulity about it, a lot of ridiculous suspension of disbelief, a lot of things that were just put in for the sake of plot choices that were a little bit fluffy and silly. A lot of silliness in the film, as I've said. So overall, okay, if this keeps Tron going, I'll be interested to see where they go. They have a few options, especially with the mid-credit scene. Oh, and by the way, that did not make sense to me at all. I thought that Hassan Minaj's character, and really he was also pointless in the film, a bit of a humorous actor, but I thought the fact that his CTO was the one that took down Dillinger's grid so that Athena couldn't reformalize herself or reconstitute herself. So I thought he hacked in, took down the grid. That's why Athena couldn't get them. which made no sense to me that Dillinger was still alive in a grid. So that was very, very confusing to me. I don't know what happened. If anyone knows about that point, please let me know in the comments, because it was something that didn't make sense to me. But at the end of the day, if this is the last Tron, I'll be okay with that, because I think the first two were decent, especially the first one. I mean, that is timeless for me. So, yeah, probably maybe a 5.5 out of 10. Will Jared Leto keep the I'm going to kill any franchise streak I'm in going? Or has he finally bucked the trend? I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with Disney and the numbers in the future. But there you go, that's my review. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you seen Tron Ares? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did I miss anything? As usual, please like, share, and subscribe to help support the channel. And catch you next time.